Throughout his time as director on Final Fantasy XV, Hajime Tabata has constantly had to field questions regarding a potential sequel, and I'm not just talking about recent history either. Part of this comes from something Tetsuya Nomura said back in 2013. When he was talking to Famitsu, he pointed to the wording in a recent trailer that said "a world of the Versus epic," saying that this meant Final Fantasy XV ushers in one climax of a planned, continuous story. Famitsu followed this up by saying it sounds like there would be a sequel of sorts, to which Nomura said, "If you make something this dense, it becomes an extraordinary thing." There was an idea to drop the sheer volume and the density, but in that situation, desired elements undoubtedly died too. That's why I'm thinking in my mind of completing a successive work. That seemed quite clear, that they were planning some kind of sequel, but following the announcement of both Kingsglaive and Brotherhood, the notion of a sequel seemed to be somewhat diminished, as both Tabata and Nozue said that the additional properties were, in part, made so that they could avoid shipping multiple games. A few months later, while speaking with GameSpot at Gamescom, Tabata went on to say that there are not currently any plans for a Final Fantasy XV sequel. However, he did note that there might be appetite from higher-ups in the business for them to make Final Fantasy XV Part 2, to ensure that fans who had been waiting a long time would get to enjoy the lore for as long as possible. This kind of thinking would, of course, depend on sales, and as we all know, upon its release, Final Fantasy XV smashed all existing sales records, at least when looking at how fast games have sold in the past. Moving on to the present, Tabata has now decided to be a bit more blunt in his response to this particular question. When asked by Japanese publication Entertainment Station whether the team are planning to produce a sequel, he replied by simply stating there is no planned sequel, and left it at that. Honestly, I'm not sure the game needs a direct sequel, or if there would even be much appetite. That hasn't stopped some people theorising though, and I'm going to have to insert a small spoiler warning here because a Reddit user called Like With A Cloth did come up with a decent concept for what a sequel could be. I'll throw a link in the description for those who want to find out more, but to summarise, it focuses on some new characters and deals with the aftermath of Final Fantasy XV. But there's also a counter feeling that a sequel would be detrimental to the narrative. To be honest, if they could make a strong, positive sequel, of course I'd be interested, as the lore of Final Fantasy XV had so much potential that wasn't fully tapped into. But Square Enix also has a rather dubious record when it comes to sequels, and this can't be negated. In reality, they also did a lot of work to recraft the original Final Fantasy Versus 13 story so that it could become a self-contained game, and even if it was somewhat disjointed, they did ultimately accomplish that objective. And call me a traditionalist or whatever you want, but I kind of enjoy the days when Final Fantasy games were self-contained. Although back in those days, I will admit that we were pretty much guaranteed to get the next installment within a year or two, something which doesn't seem too realistic anymore. We actually polled you guys on Twitter, and only 31% of people responded saying they would love to see a sequel to Final Fantasy XV. 18% said they haven't decided yet, presumably because they're waiting to see how the DLC turns out. I think that says it all really, but what do you guys think? Would you be interested in seeing a sequel to Final Fantasy XV? Let us know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and subscribe. Also, if you'd like to support the channel and help us to keep on growing, why not consider supporting us on Patreon? You can find out more by heading to patreon.com/FFunion. Also, thanks to everyone who helped us reach 20,000 subscribers. That is a massive, monumental milestone, and we are so excited. At the moment, we're not really in a position to be able to record a video for that, as our stuff's still in boxes, but hopefully we'll be able to do so soon. Alright guys, this is Daryl signing out. I'll see you next time.